For some, movies are an escape from reality. For others, they're an inspiration for murder. Scream, a movie of murderous bloodlust by an assailant in a hauntingly sinister mask. Scream made its debut in 1996. Directed by Wes Craven, it stands today as one of the most memorable slasher films of all time. One man named Thierry, however, found great inspiration in the movie and, like many normal people, purchased a Scream killer costume. The movie's success had made it into a very desirable costume to wear on Halloween, but it would come to pass that Thierry's purposes for the outfit went far beyond a mere scare. Thierry was a 24-year-old single, lonely Belgian truck driver who was interested in a 15-year-old girl. The girl, named Allison, dropped by Thierry's apartment for a visit. Eventually, Thierry began trying to make sexual advances on Allison, but she refused him. Pretending to accept the denial, he excused himself from the room. It was here that he adorned the famous mask and robe and approached her from behind. Thierry stabbed her around 30 times, so much so that her left side was entirely torn open. After she was dead, he placed her on his bed and slipped a rose into her hand before phoning his father to confess to what he had done. Thierry later confessed to police that the murder was in fact premeditated. He had planned for it all along. However, he had no criminal record and no history of mental illness. Nobody saw the murder coming. There are few movies more wholesome than the 10 Commandments, but that doesn't mean it can't inspire murder. Heinrich Pommerenke was born and lived in Germany and was a troubled man who experienced intense sexual addiction at a very early age, claiming that he had his first sexual experience at the age of 10 years old. This addiction burdened him, and he eventually transformed into a feared serial rapist, stalking women as they left buildings and aggressively assaulting them. But Heinrich would always remember the day he visited the theater to watch the 10 Commandments. Though his crimes were sure to evolve on their own, he openly admitted that the evolution occurred as a direct result to a scene from the movie. A scene of women dancing set something off in Heinrich's mind. As the women danced around the golden calf, Heinrich recalled his experience by saying, "I saw women dancing around the golden calf and I thought they were a fickle lot. I knew I would have to kill." And he kept his word in the most brutal way he could. Upon leaving the theater, Heinrich immediately went and purchased himself a razor. Now, he would not only rape his victims, but slit their throats as well. His terror claimed the lives of at least 4 women, though it's believed he murdered more and attempted to murder even more than that. Eventually, he was captured when he left a suitcase at a dry cleaner's and mistakenly left a gun inside. This led to an arrest and then to a confession to his murders. Sentenced to multiple life sentences, Heinrich will go down in history always remembered as the Beast of Black Forest. A movie that has inspired more deaths than it probably featured. Natural Born Killers is one of the more brutal movies in history. It's well known that the Columbine High School massacre shooters had a love for the movie Natural Born Killers, but in one case in particular, it was a direct inspiration for a horrific series of murders. Jasmine Richardson was only 12 years old when she started dating the much older Jeremy Steinke, who was 23 years old. Jasmine's parents, of course, forbade Jasmine from seeing Jeremy. However, she was in love. So the two developed a sinister plan on how they could spend the rest of their lives together. As long as Jasmine's parents were in the picture, she couldn't be with her lover, so they'd have to do away with them. Jeremy, who believed he was a 300-year-old werewolf and often wore a vial of blood around his neck, kicked back and turned on Natural Born Killers with some friends shortly before the murders. The movie tells the story of Bonnie and Clyde type lovers who traverse the country on a killing spree. Jeremy was overwhelmed with inspiration. Jeremy and Jasmine came together one Sunday morning and launched their attack. They viciously attacked Jasmine's parents with knives. Jasmine's mother was stabbed 12 times and left lifeless at the bottom of the basement stairs. Jasmine's father put up more of a fight, leaving his blood in multiple areas of the house, but he was eventually overcome and had been stabbed so many times in the face, chest, and crotch that his body barely had any blood left in it. From there, Jeremy and Jasmine entered the bedroom of Jasmine's 8-year-old brother, where they slit his throat while he lied in bed. Then the two took off together. However, they were quickly apprehended, thankfully before they could kill again. Jeremy spoke with an undercover officer and said to him, "Have you ever seen the movie Natural Born Killers? I think that's the best love story of all time." Jasmine, due to her age, was sentenced to 10 years in prison, while Jeremy was put in prison for 3 life sentences. Most of us have favorite movies to watch. They make us feel something special that other movies just don't. But the question is whether or not your mind can keep reality on one side of the screen and fantasy on the other. This video was a collaborative effort with Dylan Dubois, who has created his own video on the dangerous consequences of movies, most specifically as it applies to political controversy, such in the newly released movie, The Interview. You'll be very surprised to learn the effect that movies can have not only on people, but on the world. Dylan is a very informative and entertaining creator, so I ask you to please click here to go check out his video, or you can go down in the description below and there is a link down there for you. That's all for now. Remember, you may not believe it, but anything is possible in a world so seriously strange. I'm Rob Dyke, and I'll see you next Wednesday, so don't forget to subscribe because you won't want to miss what's next.